Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Breaking News with Jules. I'm sure you've heard the news. Thabo Mbeki, former president of South Africa. On May 26, 2025, he sat down for an important chat on Power FM. Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi was asking the questions. The topic? South Africa's place in a rapidly changing world. Mbeki laid down a serious challenge. South Africa needs to critically assess and clearly articulate its national interests. Why the urgency? Because the world stage isn't what it used to be. We're living in an increasingly multipolar world. Mbeki believes this shift demands a new approach. Old maps won't guide us through this new territory. It's time for serious introspection and strategic thinking. Mbeki explained this idea of a multipolar world, a world where many different countries pursue their own interests. It's not about one or two big players calling all the shots anymore. Think of it like a busy marketplace. Everyone is there to get the best deal for themselves. If South Africa doesn't know what it's shopping for, it's going to get a raw deal. Or worse, be ignored completely. This call to action is significant coming from Mbeki. He's seen the world from the highest office. His experience lends immense gravity to his words. This isn't just some academic discussion, it's a practical, urgent warning. South Africa and other African nations need to understand these global power dynamics. If they don't, the consequences could be severe. It's about shaping your own destiny. So what exactly is this multipolar world Mbeki keeps talking about? Let's break it down. For a while, especially after the Cold War, the US was the main superpower. But things have changed. Other countries have risen. China, Russia, India, Brazil. Regional powers are also asserting themselves. The old rules of engagement, they're being rewritten. This creates uncertainty, but also opportunity. Mbeki pointed to a statement by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Rubio acknowledged that the global political landscape fundamentally changed after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Washington itself understands the world is no longer unipolar. They see the new players on the field. This understanding shapes their actions, and it should shape ours too. South Africa can't just coast on old alliances or assumptions. The ground beneath our feet is shifting. New strategies are essential. South Africa needs a very good navigation system, one built on clearly defined national interests. It needs to be agile, adaptable, and incredibly aware of its surroundings. Thabo Mbeki made a clear point about the United States. Every U.S. government operates on one fundamental principle, the pursuit of its own national interests. This isn't a criticism, it's an observation. It's how powerful nations operate. They look out for number one. Understanding this is crucial for any country navigating its relationship with the U.S. It's not personal, it's policy. Mbeki brought up Donald Trump's slogan, "Making America Great Again." It was America asserting its right to define and pursue its own interests. America would decide what was good for America, and it would act on that, regardless of what other countries might think. This was a stark display of national interest taking precedence. The impact of this America First approach on other nations, especially smaller ones, is significant. They need to engage with the U.S. with a strong sense of their own interests, and a realistic understanding of how the game is played. One specific issue Mbeki addressed was South Africa's long-standing support for Palestine. This support is deeply rooted in principles of justice and solidarity. It reflects South Africa's own history of struggle against oppression. However, this principled stance runs into a major geopolitical reality. U.S. interests in the Middle East often conflict with South Africa's position on Palestine. The U.S. has historically been a strong ally of Israel. This creates undeniable tension. South Africa wants one outcome, the U.S. often wants another. This makes for a complicated diplomatic dance. It tests the limits of how far one can push for its values. How does a nation uphold its principles without facing severe consequences from a superpower? It's a constant balancing act. Dr. Ndlozi on dignity escaping the shadow of global powers. During the Power FM interview, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi made powerful points. He critiqued Africa's continued reliance on global powers. This dependency affects not just policy or economics, but dignity. African nations are often not treated as equals on the world stage. Ndlozi cited an incident where former U.S. President Donald Trump accused South Africa of genocide without evidence. This kind of interaction diminishes our dignity. Ndlozi argued that what is often framed as respect in international relations is, in reality, a form of dominance. Our relationship with global powers has become asymmetrical, rooted in dependence, not equality. This perception of being dictated to, of sovereignty being undermined, is a serious concern. It echoes Mbeki's call for a more assertive stance from African nations. African nations need to confront this asymmetry. They must assert their sovereignty. They must demand to be treated as equals. Sovereignty now, Mbeki's urgent message for African nations. Thabo Mbeki's core warning was stark. If African nations ignore the reality that global powers are driven by self-interest, they face serious risks. They risk being manipulated, sidelined, and having their agendas set by others. Passivity in this new global environment is dangerous. Mbeki stressed the urgent need for African countries to do two things. First, they must clearly articulate their interests. This means deep internal discussion and consensus on what matters most. Second, they must defend these interests. Articulation without the will or capacity to defend is just words on paper. Defending interests requires resources, strategic thinking, strong institutions, and a united front. Mbeki urged African nations to shift from a reactive posture to a proactive one. They must actively shape their own destinies. Developing the capacity to defend our sovereignty is essential. This capacity isn't just military, it's economic, diplomatic, and intellectual. Sovereignty demands constant vigilance, clear strategy, and unwavering resolve. Mbeki's call was an invitation for a fundamental shift in mindset towards self-definition, self-reliance, and the robust assertion of Africa's rightful place in a multipolar world. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe for more videos to come. See you next time.